Wasabi wallet. Unfairly private.
What's up, everyone? Ben with the BTC Sessions here, and this is your daily session.
Hodl that Bitcoin.
Before we dive into the news, of course, shout out to sponsors of the show, Ledn.io. This is where you can use your Bitcoin for a variety of services, one of which is a Bitcoin savings account where you can earn Bitcoin on your Bitcoin paid in Bitcoin. You can also check out their Bitcoin-backed loans. This is where you can use Bitcoin as collateral to secure a Canadian or US dollar loan. This can be particularly useful if you need to get your hands on dollars, but you're worried about actually selling your Bitcoin. You're worried that there might be a bad time, price might go up. Well, in this case, your Bitcoin sits in a dedicated account, which is auditable 24/7 on the blockchain. And when you pay back your loan, well, you get your Bitcoin back. And finally, if you are a huge Bitcoin bull, you can always check out their B2X or their Buy 2X offering. And this is where you get double the exposure to the price of Bitcoin. If you opt to get a Bitcoin-backed loan using the link down below, they will actually credit your account with an additional $50 worth of Bitcoin. So be sure to check that out. And secondly, if you're into Bitcoin, of course, privacy is very important, and I use this thing all the time. It is NordVPN, so I've got it running on my phone, on my computer, and basically what it does is it hides your IP address. It also encrypts your browsing data, which is important, and it has a bunch of other added benefits. One of the ones I really enjoy is being able to unlock geo-blocked content. So if I can't get access to something on a certain website, well, I can just go in, change my location that I appear to be from, and boom, that content gets unlocked for me. So if you check out the link below, you will basically be saving 84%. Last I checked, that amounts to about $3.49 a month, which is pretty damn solid if I do say so myself. With that, let's dive into the news. So this just dropped today, actually. Rhythm Trader on Twitter, who, by the way, if you're not following him, you should probably check him out. But he dropped this little nugget of information that 11.5, almost 11.6 million Bitcoin have not been moved in over a year, meaning that of all of that Bitcoin, there's about 18 million mined at the current time, and almost 11.6 million of that have not been moved, sold, or traded in the past year, even as the price has been going up about 85% over the past year, which is insane. So here's the actual tweet from Rhythm Trader. He said, yeah, 11,580,000 Bitcoin have not been moved in over a year. Even with an 85% increase in price during that time, those millions of Bitcoin were not sold or traded. Hodlers of last resort are insane. And here's a little chart showing cumulative sum in dormant Bitcoin addresses, meaning that the activity has not moved. They've clearly been put into deep cold storage, or in some cases they may have been lost, but definitely not 11.6 million Bitcoin lost. A lot of that is just long-term cold storage. Yeah, so I mean, it does kind of back into the fact that a lot of people seem to be accumulating and holding for the long term, and they don't give a shit to ride out these bear markets and even minor bull markets like this year. Yes, I know 85% up is quite a bit, but in terms of the long term that people are holding for, well, they're not really super impressed with a mere 85%. They're waiting for multiples of that, if ever. A lot of people I know are just holding until Bitcoin is just the de facto currency, or that's what they're aiming for. So I don't know. What about yourself? Do you find that you're holding more? You're putting stuff away. You're not moving it. It goes into cold storage and then it doesn't see the light of day. Let me know what you think. Let's move on. So this article is saying, or rather it's quoting an executive from Morgan Creek saying that the halving will be a non-event. So Williams, who is this? Jason Williams, co-founder at digital asset fund Morgan Creek Digital, he said the Bitcoin halving in May 2020 won't do anything to the price. It will be a non-event. There's also some speculation amongst Willy Woo, who is a statistician, even like Bitmain Jihan Wu, which God knows why anybody wants his opinion anymore. But they're all kind of saying that, well, we don't think that the halving is going to be much of a big deal. Whereas you have a lot of other people that are saying that the halving is going to be the catalyst for the next major bull market. And so there's some nuance in here that I think is important, but I do firmly believe that the halving is kind of the driver behind Bitcoin price. Obviously, there's the demand portion of it, but the supply is very important. And so I see it as people are finding Bitcoin useful as a store of value and also useful as a way to transport money around the globe without censorship. So in that, there is a limited amount, as we just saw in the previous story, that is actually liquid that's being moved around. And if all of that 11.6 million is actually indeed long-term deep cold storage that people aren't planning on letting go for a while, then the reduction in newly created Bitcoin in May of next year won't necessarily have an impact on the day. In fact, I firmly believe that yes, it's not like it's going to hit and then boom, the price explodes. Absolutely not. Because when you think about it, all liquid Bitcoin that are currently on the market being bought and sold and traded, they're still there. It's just that every 10 minutes, there will be slightly less new coin coming onto the market. So instead of 12.5 Bitcoin, it'll be 6.25 as of May of next year. So over time, I think that pinch gets felt. It starts to gradually rise price. And then when you start seeing headlines of, oh, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high, well, that's when mom and pop start to rush in and buy it up because a new round of FOMO has started, and retail, regular day-to-day investors just start diving in and shoveling money in. And that's what we saw in 2017. It's also what we saw in 2013. And both of those were the year following the halving. So it remains to be seen if history repeats itself. But I'm willing to bet that this time around will be very, very similar. The difference this time is that there's even more accessibility and on-ramps that will be available, but I'm willing to bet that it'll be quite similar. Again, most people don't have any clue around the economics of Bitcoin, around the issuance and the baked-in monetary policy, and until that becomes common knowledge and until enough liquidity flows into Bitcoin so that it's more difficult to bat around the price, I expect to see these kind of manias and then massive bear markets afterwards and these pops. So again, let me know what you think. We've talked about the stock to flow models put together by Plan B before. There's a link to it in this article. So I'll link to the article down below and you can check that out and let me know. Moving on. Now, there's not a lot of details about this, but it's been kind of blown up on Twitter today that Bitfinex is the first major exchange that will go live with Lightning. So you'll be able to, it appears, deposit and withdraw using the Lightning network on Bitfinex when you're funding your account and withdrawing to a custodial or non-custodial wallet. It appears that will be the case. So I tried to look more into it, and again, I can't find any actual pieces on it, but it does appear to be legitimate. At looking at some of the comments, particularly this one from Vlad. Poor Vlad. He writes for Bitcoin Magazine. He wasn't particularly excited because this blew up on Twitter, and he said, Mr. Hodl said, "What's upsetting you, Vlad?" He says, "Being subjected to a news embargo just to see how the information gets published on Twitter and makes your work pointless." So apparently he had a story for Bitcoin Magazine in the works, and then this kind of just leaked out and got everywhere. And unfortunately, he didn't get the scoop on it. But hey, Vlad, I'm looking forward to your article nonetheless, so please do indeed drop it because I want to give it a read and read a little bit more about how this will be implemented. But in the end, I think this is fantastic. Again, I think it's going to be needed because as we know, there is limited block space when it comes to transactional throughput on Bitcoin. And so with that, at times of high volume, if people want quick transactions, then they increase their fee, and that will be across the board for everyone. Of course, there have been a lot of efficiencies baked into Bitcoin in the past couple of years since the end of 2020, or sorry, 2020, what am I talking about? The end of 2017 with the bull run when fees got pretty excessive for a while there. But again, if we have new people coming into the space and we have another mania like last time, you can expect for the fees to become considerable yet again. And so things like Lightning Network will help reduce that burden and allow for quick, small transfers back and forth. And then you've also got things like Liquid Network, which is a Bitcoin sidechain from Blockstream, where transfers to and from exchanges between each other, so mostly larger companies back and forth, that can be utilized as well to take the pressure off. But even still, you can have actually liquid Bitcoin on your wallet. So I did a video on the Blockstream Green wallet, and that actually allows you to hold liquid and any asset issued on the Liquid sidechain as well. So there's a lot of innovation happening there that will help ease the pressure and ease the fee burden of using main chain Bitcoin when need be, while limiting any sort of trust that you have to have in other entities. Like Lightning, if you're running your own node, it's trustless. But something like Liquid, it's trust minimized, but you're still, like, it is a federated sidechain. So there's a number of entities, and I think 2/3 of them would have to be malicious in order to pull off any sort of an attack. Don't quote me on those exact numbers, but even still. Happy to see this moving forward. And I wanted to finish on this one. Oh my God. Okay, so OneCoin, I don't know how familiar a lot of you guys are with this, but it's basically like a multi-level marketing Ponzi scheme craziness, and it's milked billions and billions of dollars out of people around the world. There's no blockchain to be found. They say that it's like, they've been saying for years, this will replace Bitcoin, it's the next thing, but they sell these education packages, and it's just meant to indoctrinate people to go out and enlist their friends and get as much money as possible. And the exchange where you'll actually be able to sell and use your OneCoins to purchase real world items is always just around the corner. There's always just another delay. There's a regulation that we have to get around, but it's coming. And it's been like this since 2014, and it just keeps churning in the money. Meanwhile, in the background, people are checking their balances online, and the price is just set by people at OneCoin. They just say, "Oh, the price went up. Look, you're a millionaire in our app. You can't use it for anything, but you're a millionaire, so keep giving us more money so you get even more rich." But sadly, you're not able to sell anything. And the only people making money are those that are onboarding more people and making actual commissions from doing that, of which I can't remember the split, but it's 40-60, and I can't remember how much is which, but I think 60% of it is paid in OneCoin and 40% of it is paid in like money to your bank account. So that's what incentivizes these people to keep onboarding others into this scam. Anyways, it looks like the OneCoin website has gone offline, at least the onecoin.eu website, and that's due to criminal charges and criminal investigation into the founders. The original founder, what's her name again? I can't remember. Ignatova. Ruja Ignatova. That was the woman that initially created OneCoin and marketed it and brought in a bunch of MLM experts to spread it everywhere. And it's still running, actually. So people are still taking in money. It's just the website went down. Anyways, she went missing in 2017. She just disappeared. And then her brother took over, and then while just recently, earlier this year, he was arrested while in New York, and he's just pled guilty to charges of money laundering and fraud, and he faces up to 90 years in prison. So just not good all around. Now, if you are not super familiar with this and how absolutely fucking devastating it has been for so many people, you need to listen to this podcast series. It's incredible. It's from the BBC. It's an 8-part series. Each one is about, I'd say, 30 minutes or so. And it goes through the story of OneCoin and how it was created and how they just milked people for all their money and how when the woman went missing. And it is unbelievable. And it said in that article that we were just looking at that they had made off with about $4 billion. But later in this series, it turns out it could be upwards of 15 billion that they've made off with, which is mind-boggling. And some of the stories of the people are just horrendous. And the one thing that gave me hope is at one point in the series, there's this woman who's been swindled out of her money, and she's from Scotland, I believe. And there's this Bitcoiner who knows that this is a scam. He's done his research, and he's like, there's no blockchain, there's nothing there. And he's taken his own time to reach out to people around the world that are involved in this scam and try and warn them and tell them to get out. And there's actually a recording of the two of them talking, and he's so passionate, and he's just at the top of his lungs. It's a fucking scam. I can prove it to you. You need to listen to me. You need to get out. And she's too far down. She's too deep to even really hear what he's saying. And it isn't until months later that she realizes it. And at that point, the damage was catastrophic to her and her family. But anyways, I can't sing enough praises for this podcast. You guys really need to check it out. So I will link to that down below. But really, if you look up Missing Cryptoqueen on any major podcast platform, Spotify, I think Google Play, pretty much anything, just look it up. It'll be there, Apple. Anyways, not to end on a sad note, but hopefully this website going down and these criminal investigations mean that this one is coming to an end. And hopefully you guys out there are as altruistic as that one Bitcoiner in that story, where you will take the time to reach out to some people if you see, especially people close to you, if you see somebody looking at this kind of stuff and they just don't know yet, it's worth the time to plant the seed and to take a moment. At least I believe so. Anyways, I've seen a lot of people get ruined by these kinds of things, and it's always sad. A couple to watch out for, by the way. There's one called Woe Token. There's another one called Cloud Wallet or Cloud Token. That one's going around even in my city right now, which is disgusting to see from people that should know better. And then there's another one, Carrot Bars, which is like a gold-backed cryptocurrency thing. And there's been statements issued from governments and other regulatory bodies saying like, hey, there's no gold there. Like they don't own a gold mine. There's no gold backing this thing. So be aware. Let me know if you know of others going around, because it's always worth a mention. Anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap up there. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, hit like, subscribe, and share. Always hit share. It is great to have more people watching these videos. If you want to help with the show in another way, you can head up with the sponsors down below, Ledn and Nord. And third to that, check out Wasabi Wallet. It's always great to have some privacy on your coins. You never know if somebody's trying to look into your financial situation, and you could become a target that way. So Wasabi Wallet allows you to break the links between you and your coins and maintain that financial privacy. And if you really like what we saw, you can drop me a Bitcoin Lightning Network tip at my tipin.me page. And with that, I am out. Have a wonderful evening, and I will see you tomorrow for your daily session.